Welcome back. COVID-19 fears forcing many to question their mental strength, but in the midst of the challenges, there are things you can do. In with us this morning to discuss mental wellness and offer needed solutions is consultant psychiatrist Dr. John Dillette. Dr. Dillette, welcome to the Morning Edition.
Well, first, good morning, Ms. Pinder. Good morning, Bahamas. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And it's certainly a pleasure having you with us. First things first, what's the state of mental health here in the country at this time?
Well, good news for everyone is just like our general medical services, mental health services are still available and are running. Obviously, we're encouraging persons in terms of social distancing, so there are some limitations and restrictions as a result. Persons are advised to only seek help if they are having emergent or urgent situations, so that we don't necessarily have too many people in one place. But for persons who need prescriptions or injections, those are still available. It's best to call your clinic, the Community Counseling and Assessment Center on Collins Avenue, or your local clinics such as Elizabeth Estates, Fleming Street, etc., to know what the availability is and when you should come. That way you won't have to worry about being in long lines or possibly social distancing issues being as a result. So call first. Services are still available, but limitations, and please only come if it's urgent so that we don't put anyone at risk.
Now, in the case of, before actually getting to a clinic, what should we do if someone becomes unstable at home during this point?
Yes. I think the first thing would be is to contact your physician. If you have a general practice physician, call them, get advice. There are clinics that are open. The Community Counseling and Assessment Center is there and can take your call and can advise you and tell you whether or not this is something that can be handled at that center, or is it something that perhaps you should go to the emergency room for. Obviously, we're discouraging people from just entering facilities and just showing up without first being triaged appropriately, because we don't want to put anyone at risk. We want for patients to be safe and also healthcare workers.
There's a lot of stress during this time. People are out of work, people have to deal with children, homeschool, that's stress upon stress upon stress. It leads to a lot of things happening, like, let's say, going through a breakup. How should one deal with that at this time?
So everyone in our society right now is going through enormous amounts of stress. When it comes to relationships, I would suggest to everyone, remember that it's not usually the best time to make life-changing decisions during a crisis. You prefer to be calm and cool and really have your thoughts composed before making those decisions. And remember that everyone handles stress differently. So irritability, anger, sadness, depression, substance misuse can all be affected when you're under significant stress. And when you have more than one crisis happening at the same time, we have to be patient and allow for persons to be able to kind of express themselves and not judge them so harshly in these very difficult times. So I would suggest remember that before making those life-changing decisions. In either case, remember that this crisis will end. You will have an opportunity to work on your relationship as we move forward. There's going to be an avenue for us to get back to normalcy at some point. So right now, the most important thing is staying safe, being healthy, ensuring that this coronavirus crisis is dealt with, and then you're going to have an ample opportunity to deal with other life issues. So let's not be so judgmental. Let's not be too harsh on each other. Let's remember that we're all dealing with stress in our own unique ways, and let's work together. And right now, it's a time for the community to come together. Families need to come together. The community needs to come together. Other things we can kind of deal with as we move forward.
I know you stress the fact that you should remain safe at this point. What about those situations where there is abuse, though?
Well, obviously, in those situations, there are still services that are available. Crisis hotlines, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, etc. So those services are still ongoing. If persons find themselves in very difficult situations, please reach out to mental health care professionals and correctional services, police force, etc. for those issues. There's still help for those individuals. So I don't wish for persons to think that you're alone and that no one is there to help you, because those persons are still there. Just reach out and they'll determine the best way in which they can help you.
Give us some top tips for preserving your mental health in these times. Like I said, we have the parents homeschooling their children. We have the people who are on the front line. Some of them, like Dr. Sands alluded to yesterday, during the town hall meeting, they're afraid to come home to their families. They haven't seen their families for a while. Some tips on how to get through all of this.
So first thing, everyone in the Bahamas, do not panic. That's the first thing. You can't make good decisions when you're extremely stressed and you're panicking. You make better decisions when you're a bit more calm and collected. First thing is exercise. And I know that there are restrictions in terms of where you can go and whatnot, like beaches, etc. But you can exercise at home, you can exercise in your own environment. Being able to get your heart rate up and exercise allows for frustration and stress to kind of dissolve and for you to become a bit more calm. It also releases natural chemicals called endorphins that give you natural highs. It helps to control your mood, make you feel happier. So those are things that are extremely important, and it can be anything from singing, dancing, anything else, sports, etc., that you can do in your home environment, of course. Don't go outside. Second thing would be simply engage in very, very fun activities. If you have kids, this is a chance to get them used to the old board games like Monopoly. You know, they can play video games, but it may be a time for telling stories in terms of grandparents to their children and grandchildren. It's a time to construct little things with your hands and paint and build. And so there are so many things that you can do in your home, probably things that people wanted to do for a while. This is a great opportunity for you to actually get those things done. Next thing, of course, would be get back in touch with your spirituality. You know, we all believe in something, and there are things that give us comfort during times of turmoil and crisis. Get back to that. Sometimes because we get kind of caught up in our lives and we're here and there and zipping and zooming, we forget some of the things that actually are very important to us that help to give us peace. So please pray. Please get back in touch with your spirituality. It will help to calm you during times of crisis and give you an anchor so that you're not going to be zipping and zooming every time the news comes out. You know, you're going to have one panic attack after another. And finally, positive thoughts make positive people. It is really, really true. There are reasons to be concerned. We all have to be concerned about this crisis, this pandemic. The truth of the matter is, though, that the chances of any one of us contracting this virus is still relatively low if we adhere to the policies and guidelines that are being set out by our health professionals and the Prime Minister and government services. So if we do that, our chances are fairly low. Be positive. Don't be someone who's thinking negatively constantly and worrying about the worst case scenario. Remain positive. Be a beacon of hope for yourself and for your family. It will help to change your environment. It will help you to get through this crisis, and you'll be a better person and a stronger person coming out of this crisis, because there will be another one of some type in our lifetimes. And so we have to remember that this is just the current crisis. We have to be prepared for many as we move forward.
Well, there you have it from Dr. John DeLed. Positivity certainly counts in times like these.